We've of course looked at the year that has gone by, because we're sitting in the end of March, or at the end of March, and ending the FY 12-13. How has this year been for the real estate industry? Let's look at some hard data. This is prop equity data on residential markets, 8 key markets in India. Let's start with Bangalore. Now, supply actually of homes in Bangalore went down by about 13%, but absorption figures in this market look very steady, 6%. The price appreciation was 12%. So a decent, stable, steady market. That's how Bangalore emerges. Chennai, supply went down by as much as 27%. That's a big drop. Absorption dropped by 9%. Prices, of course, appreciated by 9%. So modest increase. Gurgaon, now what happened here? Supply went up by 12%. I think this is the only market which is going against the larger trend that we see. Supply actually went up in Gurgaon. Absorption went down. So everybody thinks Gurgaon is a really hot market, but absorption actually went down by 6%, but prices still appreciated 29%. That's huge. That huge a quantum. Noida, supply minus 48%, absorption minus 38%, appreciation 12%. So most markets where you do see a drop in supply and absorption, prices are still holding steady, or probably that's why they're holding steady. Mumbai, minus 40% supply, absorption falls as much as 38%. That market definitely seems to be under some pressure, as Sunil also pointed out. Price appreciation 16%. Navi Mumbai, minus 15, minus 33, 9% up on prices. Thane, minus 11, that supply, absorption minus 22%, price appreciation 9%. Very curious. Samir, analyze this for us. I mean, I can only make out the Bangalore market. I say, okay, supply dropped, but because prices didn't go up crazily, there was still an absorption increase. People were still buying, but rest of the markets seem that the prices just catapulted in some of these markets.
Yeah, 2011, if you compare it to, saw unprecedented amount of new launches. So 2012 couldn't keep up with those new launches in terms of supply.
You think the base was so high, we should be looking at the supply figure and getting concerned?
I won't say that, but yes, the base in 2011 became quite high, right? That's the first point. The good part is, like, prices did not come down, even though prices in 2011 also appreciated to probably this degree or even higher. So there is inherent demand in the economy with respect to real estate.
Okay, so that's the second thing we should read. All right.
The third thing is, I don't think the developers went down. The crisis in which they were in 2009 and early part of 2010, when they started to launch affordable housing in such a big way because luxury was not selling or mid was not selling, that has not happened. So you've seen across the board absorption, but at slightly lower levels, because 2011 is the base year with which you're comparing with, which was very, very high. This is pretty much what has happened. Bangalore has bucked the trend, done extremely well, because Bangalore markets don't appreciate as much as other markets.
They don't outprice themselves.
Yes, they are end user markets.
They don't outprice themselves.
Yes, everywhere else, Hyderabad, we know the Telangana issue. Chennai has witnessed a drop because of huge amount of oversupply over there existing in the OMR road and many other emerging micro markets. But pretty much this is what has been with 2012. The good part with 2013, if you permit me, is that the first 2 months of 2013 is witnessing decent amount of absorption, especially in areas where affordable housing is being launched, like Greater Noida, Noida Extension. We've seen 516% jump in absorption levels in Greater Noida with respect to launches also on the Yamuna Expressway. So if you launch the product at the right price, there is unlimited amount of demand even now with these high price points.
Lalitji, we don't have the Pune data here, but we do know that Pune is, of course, one of the best emerging markets when it comes to real estate. Tell us what's been going on in that market. Do you think that Pune has also run up? Almost all of those emerging markets have seen a huge price increase over the last 2.5 to 3 years. Is it reaching a tipping point where pricing is looking a little bit out of reach of, let's say, a typical middle to upper income group?
Well, let me first make a comment on this data. Manisha, wherever there is a administrative regime which is sound or proactive, you will find supply remains steady and even the prices remain steady. Like we mentioned about Bangalore. Bangalore, what we have seen is development plan, that is CDP, has really created good supply, and the approval regime is also very good comparatively, though it's not as per expectation, but better than other cities. So wherever there is a issue of approval processes, you will find big fluctuations. Like Mumbai didn't have approvals for 2 years, and that resulted into a dip in supply by 40%. Now, this is the typical issue. The indifferent behavior of authorities or governments, various levels, central, state or local urban governments. So there is a very big issue of mindset that goes into making or breaking of real estate market. So this is one point. Second, on Pune market, Pune has been very stable in terms of supply as well as pricing and consumption. So the recent surveys have been, showing that stability, and even price escalation has not been much except for few micro market areas. So I think there is a direct relation of pricing, supply to the government regime, the attitude of authorities. Also, I will like to make a comment on what Anshuman said, and in general, see, what has happened is there has been a completely ignorant attitude of government at all levels, whether it is affected by scam or otherwise. I think the government has been lacking in understanding impact of real estate on economy. You must have heard Ben Bernanke and President of US saying that they were trying to see how they can grow economy through housing impetus. In our country, even a minister talking to another minister has become very difficult, or rather there is no response. And here I am pointing out the issue of environment, and you only gave the data which is so apt, that economy is in shambles due to this indifferent approach, whether it is, and mainly environment department, I don't know whether they are put to accountability towards economy and the employment generation of this country or not.
Fair enough. I think you've pointed to a very important point, Lalitji. I mean, how do you actually keep, if I look at the price appreciation, some of the markets which have appreciated seems to be a case of simply that the supply has dropped so much, like Mumbai, and we all know the story of Mumbai where projects were completely stalled for 2 years. Nobody was getting approvals, and you see that Mumbai has now become a market which is so expensive, Anshuman, that it's stalling in some places. Buyers are just refusing to pick up the stock because they say it's just too expensive, too unaffordable.
I think this year there will be surprises in the real estate market, and one of the surprises would be that people's mindset that the price can never come down, especially in Delhi and Mumbai. Other markets are different because the biggest markets are these two, and I feel there will be certain areas where we don't expect the price to come down. The price will come down, and the other areas where don't expect prices to appreciate, they will. So they would be, as always in the real estate market, logic always doesn't play a part. But the fact is that we will see some areas where the prices will fall, which we were not expecting. But overall, I still feel 2013 we will see activity levels, because the positive is that the real estate market has reached a critical mass where there's always activity. However, it will be a difficult year, and what Mr. Jain mentioned, that there has to be a sense of urgency from the government side, because real estate really is a large chunk of GDP, and somehow it does not get that attention. Yes, every time in the budget they will talk about low cost housing, they're talking with regulator. Regulator is good, but it's not going to kickstart the economy or the real estate activity as far as India is concerned. So really there needs to be something done where really if we have to reach to 8 to 9% GDP growth, it cannot be done without real estate. I mean that somehow real estate is never given that due. Without real estate and construction, we cannot reach those GDP levels.
I think that's a critical thing that we need to all recognize. We recognize, but I think policy makers need to watch the show and recognize as well. Let's also just focus a little bit on policy disappointments. I know Anshuman mentioned that real estate regulator bill isn't the one, but from a consumer angle, real estate regulator bill, there was so much hope that it will get cleared in one of the sessions of the parliament in the year gone by, but it didn't happen. Now, land acquisition and rehabilitation bill, lots and lots of grey areas in that bill. I wonder if it will ever see the light of day, simply because there is too many vested interests and too many conflicting opinions. I won't even say it's only vested interest. It's a very, very complicated bill. It's very complicated to even decipher and say what's right and what's wrong. Industry status to real estate, if not real estate, then at least affordable housing, even that went missing amongst the policy misses of the last year. Investment trusts or REITs, which could have probably opened up the financing market for developers, that didn't happen. So lots of things went missing, but some of the big, of course, policies which did come about, or at least we've started hearing about them, are Mr. Markan saying that there will be a formulation of a single window system for clearance of real estate projects. In fact, he said that somewhere last week, that will cut down the approval time from 196 days to 45 to 60 days. Well, that's music to the ear of the industry and to you also as a consumer, simply because that would mean less cost and no delays in execution, or at least reduced delays in execution. The ministry will introduce a single composite application form which will simultaneously seek permissions from municipal, state, central government agencies. Let's hope it happens, and it happens very soon. The other very important one, and we'll focus on it a little bit after the break, is the Housing Startup Index. The Housing Ministry planning to launch a Housing Startup Index in collaboration with the Reserve Bank of India to gauge changes in the housing sector in relation to the overall economy. Anshuman, that has a lot to play with. You know, it will actually monitor how many building permits are finally converted into actual startups. So that's another interesting development. Sunil Mantri, out of all these policies, which do you think was the biggest disappointment that it didn't really see the light of day?
One is the Reserve Bank funding to the developer. I think we were having the huge hopes that Reserve Bank will liberalize the funding to the developer. I think that's a difficult challenge what we are facing. Secondly, the approvals, single window or whatever window may be, I think it is not happening. We want, if the approvals can be granted by the architects, like a similar way, chartered accountant signs the balance sheet and we submit to institution. If I think architects grant the approval, I think it will be a great miracle. Industry status, which you pointed out, I think the most important demand from the industry. Secondly, what I feel, Manisha, there should be a separate budget for the housing sector. Like FM gives the budget for the whole India, housing gets 1 minute or one single item, 1 lakh rupee, which FM announced. I think we want one single day or one complete budget on housing, how the reforms can be done, and what the FM presently facing a problem of the GDP growth. I think to best of my knowledge, the GDP has come down to 4.5% on December ending. So housing is the one sector which can push the GDP growth to 6 to 7%, which is FM's target. So I want complete attention on a housing sector. It's not going to work merely bringing a regulator to the sector. I think that's the least one. They are not talking about the permits. They are not talking about the increase in the supply. For example, in Maharashtra, the supply has completely choked up and you can see the result, 40% down in supply, and that's why the prices are artificially high. If the supply increases, we'll be very happy. So I think all those factors need attention immediately on an urgent basis, because 2013 and 14, the election year, we have huge problem of the inflation. We have a huge problem of how do we make affordable housing, because as you rightly pointed out, there is no law for affordable housing or what you call a industry status to the affordable housing. I think we need to work on all those factors, then only I think we are able to create a huge supply. Otherwise it will become a dream and the prices will keep on increasing the way what you have mentioned.
Okay, Madan, would you agree with the fact that housing doesn't get the attention in the overall economic indicators? Let's say, you know, Lalitji mentioned the fact that US is actually looking at housing as a single sector to boost the economy. We don't give it that sufficient attention here in the country.
No, actually, theoretically, what has been said is perfectly right, that the housing sector has very strong linkages with other industries too, and is in a state to propel the economy. But if you look at the way in which the housing sector, the real estate sector has been looked upon ever since we had a financial crisis of 2007, 2008, I think all countries are a bit circumspect when it comes to boosting the housing segment, because a lot of whatever happens in the housing segment is also being linked with what happens in the financial sector. And I think financial systems have really been a bit cautious when it comes to channeling of funds to the real estate sector because of the inherent risks which are there. And now, given the fact that they're going to have these economic cycles moving around, and it's going to be a time before there's a recovery in the economy, while all of us out here definitely would be wishing that that the housing sector gets the necessary attention in order to bring about growth, but I don't think the government will be in any great hurry. So practically speaking, I don't see too much of attention being focused on this particular sector in the coming years until such time that the economy really recovers. Because at this particular point, where the banking system also is down with problems of restructured assets, problems of rising NPAs, I don't think the Reserve Bank of India too would be too enthusiastic about channeling funds more to the real estate sector. So I think we'll have to wait for the economic recovery to first take place before the government pays attention. And in the next year, I don't think the attention is going to be too much on any specific sector as such, and it'll be more in terms of trying to reach out for the elections of 2014.
Fair enough, Madan. So we're going to come back and take a look at that as well. I mean, it's easy to say that RBI should give it a little bit more attention, ease of financing, but then if you look at the NPAs, real estate sector contributes to a lot of those banking NPAs as well. Back in a moment, and we'll also very quickly wrap up the office and the commercial aspect of real estate, because that's been under pressure in 12-13 and doesn't look like it's going to emerge out of it very soon, even in the coming year. You're watching a very special discussion where we're looking back at the year gone by to find out what went right and what didn't for the real estate sector. We're ending the financial year 2012-13. We've looked at the data for residential, we've looked at the policy misses and all that didn't work for the developer community when it comes to real estate. But one thing which definitely didn't work even in the year gone by is office space and commercial space. That was down and never just picked up. Anshuman, we've got a lot of data, but tell me, what's going on? I mean, is it just a clear reflection of the slowing economy and therefore we shouldn't have too many hopes for it in the coming year?
It is true. Still, majority of this office absorption is done by multinational companies. So it's like a double-edged sword. We have benefited from the recession because large chunk of the office demand comes from IT and business process outsourcing companies. And as the recession or economy slowed down, the American companies started outsourcing even more to cut cost. And a lot of that outsourcing happens in India. And because of that, in spite of a lower activity level, there was activity level.
There was some activity.
Because of, actually, so it's worked out. However, if the economies were doing well globally, of course, we would have had a much better year. So we are still better off than many countries where the commercial office market has is almost dead.
But Sameer, I mean, nobody's launching. If you look at most of the developers, even those who had plans to develop office space or commercial space or even interest in SEZ are all going away from it. Either they're selling off stakes in their large parks or just not.
Commercial real estate development is a function of huge amount of capital requirement, and that is just not available in
capital
today's
is not
market
available.
today.
I think that's the
You
problem.
have real estate private equity which is not funding greenfield projects, although the interesting new vertical that has emerged or opportunity that has emerged in the real estate private equity space is buying of commercial ready assets which are leased out has become the biggest real estate play as we speak right now.
I can see
with private
Blackstone
equity
gobbling
funds.
up a lot.
Absolutely.
What Sameer is saying is that you need capital, unlike residential where you can pre-sell. Although in commercial also some of the developers pre-sell, but the market is not as active as residential.
And there's not too much demand because most of the tenants are multinational tenants who avoid buying real estate in our country. So that's why this is the biggest bottleneck that we are facing right now, that there is
Capital
no
seems
capital
to be the
available.
biggest bottleneck.
And also there is huge tracts of land banks that were released for commercial development, and a lot of commercial has got created, and now we are in an oversupply situation because they had launched commercial projects based on demand that will come in, which came in the previous years in 2010-11, and that hasn't kept up.
I think
So there is an oversupply situation.
policy of the government where they allowed higher FSI for IT development. So every developer went, because if you buy, your land prices will go by half. If you can get double, they got double
building.
FSI.
Yes, FSI.
So that everybody got in, and it was good till the time private equity players were coming in, because it was developer will get the land, get it sanctioned, double FSI, and you would get some private equity player to come in, and you can, for the developer it was very, of course, profitable. The private equity money ran out,
Dried up.
and therefore the oversupply is because all that money which went in, the construction happened, so the vacancy levels have gone up. So supply side, but again what is ironic is the oversupply situation is in the IT side, not as much as in the commercial office space.
All right.
So therefore we have not seen drops in rental in the commercial office space. In fact, in some parts they have gone up, because that's where the supply constraint is there. But in the IT office space, there is a oversupply, and the rentals have been flat. In some places they've gone down.
And it's going to continue in the coming year as
I
well.
think next few, at least for next couple of quarters, we don't expect too much movement in rentals or prices in commercial
All right.
market.
Laliti, would you agree that there has been an oversupply situation in the year gone by when it comes to office IT space, if not so much commercial real estate, and that's going to probably pain the industry for the coming year as well? It's going to take some time before it gets absorbed.
Here, Manisha, the people who build commercial spaces and spaces for IT, they are very specialized and limited number of developers. So yes, oversupply again, here I feel little frustrated. When Singapore rentals go up or occupancy levels go down, government intervenes, because government wants spaces to be occupied and remain globally competitive. What's happening in India, do you remember any authority, government, minister or secretary or anybody making a statement that our occupancy levels are going down, that is a matter of worry for economy? Every 65 square feet generates 1 white collar and 3 blue collar employment, and which is very important to growth of this economy, because we are now producing so many more engineers, so many more technically qualified people. If we don't keep on generating jobs, we'll see a chaos in job market, as well as there will be urban gridlock. I think here we need some kind of prudence, some kind of awareness about how things have to be looked into in terms of urban markets or real estate markets. And this is the matter of frustration. Now, if there is oversupply, that means there is less consumption. Now, less consumption is matter of worry. I don't know who is really worried. If somebody is worried in government, it will be good for the country.
Absolutely. I think, and that's another big concern that I have, and you've also pointed out in the earlier discussion, Anshuman, that as developers are shrinking away from creating more office space, commercial space, you're going to reach a situation where, as and when the economy does turn around, which we all are hoping for, otherwise God only knows what will happen to our children getting jobs, but you will have probably a shortage of supply.
And again, if all that happens, the rentals will go up again.
And make businesses unsustainable.
And if you recall, I think this is 15 years back, Mumbai was #1, the most expensive office space in the world. Delhi was #3 at one point of time. And I always used to say there's nothing to be proud of. A country like ours, with rentals being so high, and it is a deterrent as far as businesses are concerned. Somehow I feel we're not going to go back to that stage, because the supply is enough for the time being. But certainly if the supply doesn't start coming in, hopefully maybe from next year onwards, we would again get back to a situation where the cost would go up again to really do business in India.
I think it's an important point to note, because high rentals have become almost now the biggest reason cited for many businesses on why they do not want to set up space or set up office in India, Samir.
I would agree with you, but I still do think that what has happened over the last 3 years, rentals have substantially come down, and I believe that I don't think
and that's
rentals are
probably
going to come
perhaps
down
a little bit
further.
good.
They are affordable today. You get IT at $1 a foot or probably lesser. which was not the case 2-3 years back, because we had our dollar was equal to 40 rupees. Now it's 54, but you still get rental space at 40 bucks.
For a long time now because
Yes.
the rupee fluctuation.
Exactly. Plus commercial office space also, if you look at BKC, it used to be at 450 rupees a square feet. Now it's down to 250. It's literally 50% of the rates. Lower parallel, down to 120 bucks. Unheard of rates in commercial office space.
So some good
So at least
also
some
has
good
come
has
about
happened.
with the oversupply, because yes, India's real estate market, especially the office space, was becoming so expensive. It was outpricing itself on the competitive scale, which essentially means you would not get that outsourcing to come to the country which you really wanted. Well, it seems that the next year is poised to be a mixed bag, but more on the rough side than the sweet side. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me today. It's always very interesting to get your perspective, and every time I learn a few new things about how this industry functions and what is data, and of course everything else telling you for the future. Seems we can expect very little on the policy front, especially when the government is in power currently, is trying hard to keep its numbers afloat. Hopefully this could translate into home price rise halting, if not home prices themselves coming down. Some markets, though, the panel here believes may actually see cooling down of prices as well. That's the only silver lining one can expect as the industry braces itself for another tough year. Thank you very much for joining me today on this debate on how the year has panned out for the real estate sector and what are we hoping for as we enter the new one.